Hello, everyone.
Here we are.
Oh, God, please don't sing. No, we just lost 50
We
subscribers.
just lost everyone.
So, for once, we had a fucking exciting weekend. Woo!
Ooh, we did. It was. If you were not following our Instagram social, and please do, at the RelationSH Show.
Okay,
It
calm
was
down.
Joechella 2020.
Joechella, Joe's 33rd birthday,
Yes.
which is actually on next Monday, but
Yeah.
we celebrated early because our friends were in town. So
The timing worked out good.
basically, we got a house, a ranch in the middle, it was like Desert Hot Springs, like near the Coachella Valley, Joshua Tree, Palm Springs. It was hot as fuck, but we rented this ranch. It had this crazy western town. It had these hot springs. It was in an energy vortex. So we were like, this is perfect. We'll make it Joechella. Your name is perfect. I've actually never been to Coachella, but
Neither have I.
we were like, well, this is our time to just pretend. We got dressed up like Coachella. You know, I was wearing, a slutty outfit. There's a little bit of cultural appropriation going on, just everything.
And there was a lot of stress leading up to it because we were trying to find an
yes.
Airbnb for like 2 weeks straight. Our friends were helping us. And we all found like houses in Palm Springs and Joshua Tree, and they were pricey and
They
it
have
wasn't
a
bad.
strict noise ordinance in
And
Palm
all three
Springs.
of us had dogs. Yeah. In Palm Springs, you can't play music after.
Outside at all.
At
You're not
all.
allowed to play music outside.
And so I was like, a lot of us are tight on money right now. We're all more than willing to pay for the trip, but I want it to be worth everyone's while. Like, I don't want to just pay to go to a house. I want them to have an experience. If it's going to be a Joechella, let's make it feel different.
Yeah.
So like the last minute when she was going to give up, she found this like private ranch, which had everything she said all within the ranch. So there's like 3 houses, all with their own bedrooms. We got one of the houses and it had all these energy vortex hot springs built into it. These warped trees. That's how you know it's a vortex. It had
All
this
these
big
art
lake.
structures. Yeah, lake, a western town.
It was a very fun. You didn't even want to leave.
Yeah.
Because you could just walk around there all day and just explore. We stayed by the hot springs and just chilled there. It was so much fun.
Bubbling Wells Ranch. I'll give them a shout out.
There you go.
It was amazing. A once in a lifetime experience. And there's 3 house options. Like, I want to go back, obviously, post COVID, whenever that is, and like rent out all 3 houses and just rage. It's so epic there.
It would be fun if you can get a big enough group for all 3 houses. You'd basically just have the whole compound to yourself, and that would be so sick for everyone to just be roaming
There's
around,
little
hanging out.
trails. It's like so fun. Ugh, it's amazing. And basically, I know people will come at us like, oh my God, COVID. Like, what we basically did, it was just us and 2 other couples, our closest friends, and we just told them, either get tested beforehand or just self-quarantine for 2 weeks. And, going here, you accept that, the risks of being with other people. And, it's 6 people. It's not the worst. It's not the best, but you take the responsibility. If we get COVID, you understand that happens, but self-quarantine, try to, mitigate the risk. And so far so good, knock on wood. But yeah, so I think we've done it once before with another group of friends, and I think this is like our new kind of vacation. You get a house. We never left the house or the ranch. We just bought all our food. We stayed in, but being in a separate fucking place other than the house, and even with just having 4 other people with us, was life-changing.
It was so rejuvenating.
Yes.
When we left the trip, driving home, I was just like, I just feel relaxed now.
Yeah.
It was just nice to get away, be with your friends, just
Talk to
hang
someone
out.
else.
Yeah. and
Other
just
than
relax.
Joe.
Can only handle so much of each other.
Yeah.
And because we were all couples too, I'm sure we were all like, it's nice to like, even though our couples were there, we could like venture off to our friends too and talk and everything. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Which brought up an interesting point to me is that I feel like a lot of my friends are having this experience where with COVID, where Joe and I and couples are together 24/7, but a lot of someone in the relationship often feels like they are not spending quality time with their partner, even though they're together 24/7. And I find that's interesting. And I do feel that way too, because even though like, yeah, I'm sitting here working all day from my office and Joe's around and I see him and I'm with the dog, it's like sometimes he'll be like doing other stuff and it'll be like 9:30 and I'm like, hey, we haven't like spoken or like watched a show together or anything. Like this is not quality time, even though we're together.
And yeah, and I've said this before to her too, where like my idea of quality time is so weird. I don't know many other people who see it the way I see it. I am totally cool with quality time where like I can have a group of people at my house and I don't even need to be talking to everyone. Just us hanging out as if we were just like roommates, all just being here, not necessarily talking, maybe interspersed. To me, I get recharged from that. I just like having people around. Whereas like Alexis, she wants you to be like talking and engaging with her. So like,
yeah.
I see it as, oh, we're around each other 24/7. We are spending quality time. But she sees it as, no, we don't even talk. We're not even watching the same shows. We're just like doing our own
separate
things.
Phones. I'm on the computer. He's on the computer. Like that doesn't seem like quality time to me.
Yeah. So it made me realize whether either of us agree with the other person's viewpoint or not, you still have to understand. If you're someone going through that right now and like you feel there's that same kind of disconnection, let's say we just completely, like I can think we had enough quality time and you don't, whether I agree with your viewpoint or not, if you want your relationship to last or like, you know, we want to keep strong, we both had to like be willing to accept that like, okay, that's his or her version.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with it. I'm going to voice my opinion and say, hey, like, I realize that you like, you know, you want to be engaged with me, but I feel like we're spending enough quality time. Like, you have to talk it out.
Yeah.
Basically, you can't just let it pent up and.
You can't just hold that in. Like, if I'll literally just be like, Joe, let's just go walk the dog together. Like, that's enough for me, that like 15 minutes walking around the block, and I just feel rejuvenated. And then we can go back to whatever the fuck we were doing. I don't care. But
and that's where it's on me as the guy or whoever the person is that's more like me that isn't being as engaging, that you have to take the ownership and go out of your way to be willing to offer them that quality time. If there has to be a compromise, a meeting in the middle, otherwise you're just doing everything your way. But
also, I feel like a lot of people think that their partner can just tell or read their mind how they're feeling. Joe doesn't know what the fuck I'm thinking. I don't even know what the fuck I'm thinking. So
yeah,
when
happened a lot.
I have to say, you have to speak up, even though it feels like you might feel shame about it or, you know, it's uncomfortable. It's better you just say, hey, you piece of shit. Like, I wouldn't say that, but like, you haven't even made eye contact with me for 24 fucking hours. Like, can you just like acknowledge my existence?
There just needs to be an acknowledgement of that. 'Cause
yeah.
Even if I'm aware of that, like there's so many things we're so aware of the differences we have in each other, but because we're, you know, as you spend more time in a relationship, sometimes time goes by where you just get used to it and you forget. And then you're just like, wait, why is she so mad at me? And then she has to say it again. You're like, oh shit, I haven't been doing that.
Yeah. But also too, like, who wants to spend time with me? I don't even know when the last time I showered was. Look at this hair. Look at this outfit. It's just screaming. Sniff the armpits. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. It doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter how you smell. Hygiene is important, but I'm just joking. Like, I really don't know the last time I showered, so.
Great.
I'm hot for the taking.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so we were good. We're also celebrating. This is a weird thing to be proud of. Usually, like when we have trips, we're like, oh, there always seems to find one thing that we're going to argue about.
Especially when alcohol's involved.
There's always something that finds its way. It could be a 1-day trip, a night hangout, a 3-day hangout. Usually something by the end of the trip when we're driving home, we're like, I got to bring this up because it's on my mind. And then we get into a fight. But this was like the first trip where we did not.
We had no problems.
Yeah.
And it's great. And I'm happy for us. Yes. High five. Let's celebrate it. Oh.
And real quick, to those that are probably listening and like, wow, you guys fight on every trip. That's so sad. I challenge you on that. I'm not saying that's not possible. Like, it's obviously very possible to go on multiple trips with your significant other and never fight and blah, 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 blah. But to say that, oh, me and my significant other always go on trips and we never fight, I call BS on that because there's definitely some mismatch there at some point.
I feel like when there are outsiders of the relationship like involved in a close setting, something will just always happen that will like trigger like a fight with the couple. Like for me, I am a jokester, and so I love to make like jokes, and yes, they are on, I've learned my jokes are on other people's behalf, and it's sometimes mean, but I think it's funny. I'm just like, oh, I'm just joking.
She'll have a lot of jokes. This happened on our other trip where she'll say a couple of jokes where it throws me under the bus a little bit. Which, listen, I don't mind. Like, I come from a comedy background. I love jokes, even at my expense. But there's just a certain pacing or tone to her voice.
I'll say something like, yeah, Joe snorts protein powder on his spare time. Ha, ha, ha. And it's like, does he really need to be called out for being like a buff workout? He really doesn't. So why do I need to like, you know, make everyone feel like, oh yeah, Joe just works out all the time. That's all he does. And like throw him under the bus like that. And I've had to learn.
Yeah, just depends what
chill
it
out.
is. Yeah.
Like sometimes there's a place and time, but if it's coming out of left field and I'm just like making these jokes just to like, I feel like sometimes I have to like keep things jovial and make jokes and and it doesn't even
I'm just
part of the conversation.
I'm good with jokes, but I'm not good when like it's out of the blue. All of a sudden I'm being called out, even if it's in a quote unquote playful way, because it's kind of like, well, wait, hold up. How did I all of a sudden, if we're all of a sudden talking about like what we're going to eat for dinner and all of a sudden I became the butt of a joke, that's when it feels like, oh, we're like making these weird digs on each other. And we've done that before plenty of times.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm like numb to it, but if Joe was like, ha ha ha, Alexis is such a hoe, I'd probably laugh too.
And there's that too. We might just have a difference. Like I could say the same type of joke that would piss me off about her and she'd be totally fine with it. So again, it's just like you have to be willing to learn what your person's like, what they're cool with and not cool with, and like figure out why.
And I think another thing is we've learned how to handle those disagreements, like when we're in a public setting. Before I'd probably like freak out and start screaming and being mad at you in front of everyone, but now we're like, okay, this is our own shit. Like everyone's on vacation here together. We all paid the same amount of money. You and I can go privately and go discuss it, and then not like explode in front of the group and bring all the vibes down.
And that also brings the point to like having a good group of people. Like what was good about the group of people we went on this trip with and our last trip is it's even more refreshing. It makes the trip like infinitely better when you have a good group of people that like, again, I'm probably the biggest person guilty of this, is I'm such a people pleaser that like I'll make sacrifices so that everyone else is happy with what's going on. It's like, oh, hey, let's go to the pool. But I wanted to go on a hike, but fine, I'll go do this. Like our group was very good at like, if people wanted to do stuff, they did it. If they didn't want to do stuff, they didn't do it. Like there was no like pressure. And that's stuff I could even get better at, where I should speak up more if I want to like do things and not do things. Because that's big too, because you don't want that to, I've definitely had that before where like I don't speak up, especially if it's not my party. And then, you know what I mean? Each day it builds up because I'm like, I wanted to do this and I didn't get to do that. Now I didn't get to do this and now we're doing this. And by the end of the trip, I'm just kind of sour because I'm like, I feel like I didn't do anything.
Like if you want to go fucking... I need to sometimes, the last night I needed to go to bed and I just was like, goodbye. And when you're partying that long, like in a row, it's just like exhausting. If you want to go take a nap, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. I mean, of course I had an itinerary, but it really was just kind of like a vague thing. There was only a few things like, of course we really needed to sit down and do. I mean, we can talk about what I planned, but so basically I made face masks for everyone, Coachella theme.
So she had like because it was Coachella theme, like a concert festival theme, she had the bracelets, which I'm currently wearing if you're watching, which looks like, you know, those admission bracelets you put on. It says Joechella on it. We had towels she surprised us with.
That said Joechella.
Neon fanny packs.
Joe loves fanny packs, so I thought it'd be perfect.
They're very functional, okay?
It is. It's great. I love fanny packs too.
My birth gemstone, because it was, you know, energy vortex, spirits, open energy, stuff like that. We had the COVID mask. She surprised us with a psychic.
Yeah, that was pretty
We did all these activities the night before where it was like...
blowing out your worries away. You light a candle. You write down your problems on a piece of paper. You burn them. We let go of feather with all of our worries. We charged our crystals with positive affirmations. I think that was all the rituals.
It was just fun, like cool, again, very experiential. Where it was like, oh wow, I'm so cool. Even if that wasn't up your alley, I'm sure you'd walk away from that going, you know what, I was a little, woo about all this, but that was actually pretty cool. It was just
it
like
goes
a fun...
with the theme. It goes with the theme. I was like, you know what, I'm not a fucking shaman, but let's like...
You're in a vortex in a ranch in the desert. Why not?
Yeah. And I was like, you know what, what's the harm in like saying love yourself and stop worrying, all those affirmations, like... that is going to change your mindset no matter, like the candle and the feather, all that stuff is just symbolic. If you don't believe in it, it's still saying positive things to yourself and saying, I'm going to stop being a fucking asshole might make you stop being a fucking asshole for a little bit.
And it does, like placebo or not, kind of set the tone, at least for that trip, because again, like there's science to back that up. For every one negative thing you say, it takes 7 positive things to undo that just one thing. Mm-hmm. So if you're already starting the first night of like a group weekend saying positive things about each other and yourself, like, oh, I want to be more outgoing, I want to be more confident. Now you're kind of just like reordering your mind.
I had everyone imagine what their best self is, like if they had all the money, if they had all the best job, like whatever their ideal self is. And it's always nice to daydream about that and think like, man, that's in the realm of possibilities. That's attainable. We could have that in a few years.
And especially for someone like me, I'm always so in my head and negative that like I could use a positive thing every now and then for myself. So,
and the psychic was great. We had a few friends who hadn't done it before or were like kind of newish to having a psychic, and they're skeptics, but either way, it's always a positive experience. And she was great. Psychic Shirley, she's been on a bunch of BuzzFeed, YouTube, Tyler Oakley things, and she was awesome. And I thought it was overall just like a fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, so. I enjoyed planning it more than the actual thing. I love planning this stuff. I love a theme. I love making sure everyone has a good time. Oh, it just brings me so much joy.
She had to hold all the surprises as a secret for like a month.
Because my love language is acts of service. I love to give people gifts. So this was just like a culmination of all of my love languages, and it was just like exploding. And I could tell everyone how much I love them too. I was fucking thriving. It was so great. So I hope you had a great birthday.
I did. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I love you. Oh,
I love you too.
Oh, we're getting mushy in here. Gosh, there was one other thing I wanted to bring up.
We were joking about that on the weekend too, how we're so non-PDA.
Mm-hmm. People just think we're friends, like we're just roommates. I'm
just so non-touchy-feely. I'm like that. My brother's like that. It's just how I've always been.
I am when we're alone. For me, it's all about, I don't want to make people around me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I've been around people who are like fucking making out and like, I don't, we're here to hang out together. Like, I don't really need to watch you make out, Yeah. If I wanted your OnlyFans, I would subscribe, So that's just not me. Anything else about your birthday before I move on?
Yeah, you can move on.
But yeah, Bubblin Ranch, go book it. It's going to fucking change your life.
Yeah.
So one other thing I wanted to bring up was I've been getting a lot of messages. I guess my episode for Say Yes to the Dress, I know you guys are sick of hearing it. It premiered in South Africa, and I've been getting all these messages of people saying I've like fucking changed their life and all this body positivity stuff and how they hated themselves for so long until they saw me. And it just like, it just felt so great to hear that, like, even though it brought out a lot of shame for me being on the show and it was like kind of scary to put myself out there, it just made it all worth it. And I just wanted to say, like, I still struggle. Like, even this weekend being a bathing suit during COVID, I was kind of like, oh my God. I'll say it. I've gained 15 pounds during COVID. And it's not like a surprise. I've been stress eating. I've been drinking more. And, being a bathing suit, I was like, oh God, I don't feel like how I did. But then it kind of had to wake me up like, shit, I'm still growing. And I have to remind myself, like, fuck it. Who gives a fuck how much I weigh, how I look like? I don't know. It just was eye-opening. People are seeing me like, wow, you've changed so much and you're just so woke about body positivity. I mean, I am at moments, but I still am susceptible to falling back into hating myself. So like, if you fall back into that too, like, it's okay. And just still remember, like, you have to slap yourself and say, hey bitch, you're still hot. None of it matters. You're a good person. Who gives a fuck what you look like? So I just wanted to say that because I'm sure I'm not the only one who gained a little weight.
There you go. And it goes back to putting those positive affirmations of how you see yourself.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to let go. I was like, let go if you've gained weight. Let go of what people think of how you look. Like, I was a little worried, like, oh God, if I post this photo of me now and at the desert in my bathing suit, are going to say, oh, she's gained so much weight since filming. Oh, I wonder if that's because she's, she's ashamed of how she looks and it was too stressful being on TV. All this stuff went through my head. So you're not alone. I have that evil voice in the back of my head still too, and it's a work in progress every day to tell it to shut the fuck up. And that, cheers, bitch.
There you go.
Love yourself.
And mine was being more confident and learning to be more decisive and not even stick up for what I want to do, but like being comfortable voicing it, not worried about hurting other people's feelings or wondering what they're thinking. So that's something I always am trying to work on.
Yes, the vortex. It worked, Joe.
See, I'm a changed man.
Yeah, but it will only last for a while, and you still have to work on yourself every day. Got to work on yourself every fucking day. Oh,
positive thoughts.
It's exhausting.
Positive thoughts.
Sometimes I'm like, God, growth is exhausting. Can I just take a break from growing and being a better person?
It's funny how much harder it is to tell myself positive things. Whereas like I could tell myself negative things all day. That's like I have a tape just ready of just like, oh, I can lay it on myself.
So easy to fall back into it, but no, you gotta fight it.
You gotta fight it.
I'm beautiful even in 4 days of not showering.
Always beautiful.
All right.
That's all I had.
That's all I have.
There you go. Hopefully you guys get something useful. Maybe you guys can go to Joechella 2021.
Yeah. We'll rent the whole ranch.
There we go. And
they also have glamping, so we really could rent the whole ranch.
And we'll make it and you can plan it even bigger.
Yeah. Oh, God.
All right. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.